The night was torn open by a violent wind, as thunder cracked above the ancient castle. The heavy oak doors creaked, swinging wide to reveal a secret passage hidden for centuries. Prince Alaric stumbled forward, clutching his chest as a whisper coiled around his mind. A voice murmured, "You are the last rider, bound by fate and blood." He gasped, his breath visible in the icy chamber. The torchlight flickered, revealing carvings of dragons etched into stone walls. Sir Cedric appeared at his side, eyes grim as he said, "The kingdom will fall if you deny this truth." Alaric's hands trembled, fear and denial swirling inside him. Outside, a bell tolled from the tower, its haunting sound shaking the night air. Shadows danced across the walls, and Alaric whispered, "I never asked for this curse," yet deep in his heart he knew destiny had already chosen him. The storm raged outside while Alaric retreated deeper into the hidden chamber, each step echoing with dread. He tried to deny the whisper, but it clawed at his mind. Cedric's lantern swung as he said, "The blood of riders flows in you. You cannot escape it." Alaric clenched his fists, voice trembling. "If it is true, then it is a curse, not a gift." The walls glowed faintly, as if the chamber itself breathed with ancient life. The sound of the tolling bell still echoed through the stone, each strike like a reminder of doom. Alaric's face twisted in fear and anger, caught between defiance and destiny. Cedric's eyes softened, but his tone was firm. "The kingdom cannot survive without you." Alaric turned away, his armor clattering against stone, whispering, "Then the kingdom is doomed." The wind's howl forced its way through cracks in the stone, and the chamber trembled faintly. Alaric's heart thundered as he stared at a dragon, carving glowing with faint fire. "Cedric," said the dragon, "awaits you. It has always been bound to your soul." Alaric's voice cracked, "I never wanted such power. Power destroys." His reflection wavered in a pool of water on the ground, showing eyes haunted by fear. Cedric's tone deepened, "Destiny does not bend to desire. You must either embrace it or let the kingdom burn." Alaric stepped back, shadows stretching across the chamber like claws. He whispered, "What if I fail?" Cedric's lantern flickered, his words heavy with sorrow. "Then all will fall into darkness." The weight of prophecy pressed upon them both. Outside, the storm shook the kingdom. In the village below, peasants huddled as lightning streaked across the sky. Bells echoed through the night, signaling danger. In the chamber, Alaric pressed his forehead against cold stone, muttering, "Why me?" Cedric, gazing at him, whispered, "Because fate chose you long before birth." Suddenly the ground quaked, dust falling from the ceiling. Cedric's voice sharpened, "The enemy stirs. The darkness rises." Alaric stood, breath uneven, his face torn between despair and defiance. The storm outside mirrored the storm within. He turned toward the chamber's exit, muttering, "If I must bear this curse, I will do it on my terms." As Alaric stepped from the chamber, the rain lashed against his armor. Thunder boomed across the skies, and in the distance, a shadow unfurled across the clouds. His breath caught as massive wings spread, blotting out the moonlight. Cedric's eyes widened, his voice a hushed whisper, "The dragon has awakened." Alaric's body trembled, torn between awe and terror. The beast roared, its cry echoing across the land, shaking every stone of the castle. Villagers in the valley gasped in fear, pointing skyward. Alaric whispered, "Bound by blood. It waits for me." The storm seemed to bow before the creature, lightning dancing across its scales. Destiny had revealed itself, and Alaric knew his life could never return to what it once was. The rain had slowed to a heavy drizzle by dawn, yet Alaric remained restless, pacing the courtyard with his armor damp and his thoughts darker still. He muttered, "I am no savior, I am cursed." Cedric's stern gaze followed him, his words deliberate. "You cannot deny what is written." Alaric clenched his fists, shaking his head. "I will not be chained by fate. My life belongs to me, not to prophecy." Cedric's voice was sharp, but heavy with sorrow. The kingdom has no other. If you abandon this path, all will fall. Alaric turned, eyes flashing with defiance. Then let it fall, he spat, though guilt burned behind his words. His denial carved deeper wounds within, but the whisper in his mind reminded him of truths he could not silence. In the barracks beyond the courtyard, Gareth, Alaric's loyal companion, entered quietly. He was a humble figure, yet his courage shone brighter than steel. "You are not alone," Gareth said, voice firm though soft. Alaric looked at him with weary eyes, whispering, "You do not understand the burden." Gareth placed a hand on his sword's hilt, standing tall. "Perhaps not, but I will stand beside you, through storm and fire." Alaric's heart wavered at the sincerity, torn between gratitude and despair. Cedric, watching in silence, saw strength in Gareth's loyalty. The air carried the weight of choices yet to be made, but Gareth's vow stitched a fragile thread of hope into Alaric's shattered spirit. Later that evening, as the storm clouds parted, a lone figure arrived on horseback. The rider dismounted, her hood falling to reveal Lady Seraphine, her gaze sharp yet vulnerable. She approached Alaric with restrained grace, voice low but commanding. "Your destiny threatens mine, yet I cannot turn away." Alaric stepped back, startled by her presence. "You should not be here," he said, unease flickering in his tone. Seraphine's eyes lingered, filled with secrets. "Perhaps not, but the curse binds us both." Cedric's eyes narrowed, recognizing the forbidden tension sparking between them. Alaric felt his heart torn, for her words carried the weight of truth and danger, binding them in a bond neither could escape. The following night, during a council meeting in the Great Hall, a new voice emerged from the shadows. Lord Malric, an ally of noble birth, stepped forward with eloquent words, masking his true intent. "The prince's strength must not be wasted. We must unite against the darkness." His tone was persuasive, his smile charming, yet his eyes betrayed ambition. Cedric's hand tightened around his staff, uneasy. Alaric, desperate for guidance, listened with conflicted hope. Gareth's brow furrowed, distrust flickering as he studied Malric's every gesture. The council leaned toward his words, yet the weight of deceit lingered unspoken in the hall. Alaric did not see the hidden danger cloaked in false friendship. When the council dismissed, Cedric drew Alaric aside, his voice grave. "Beware of Malric. His tongue weaves poison cloaked as wisdom." Alaric frowned, troubled. "I need allies, Cedric. The kingdom is crumbling." The mentor's eyes darkened. "Not all who stand beside you wish for your victory." Alaric turned away, his face torn between desperation and pride. In the courtyard, lightning flickered once more across the horizon, a grim omen of the gathering storm. Gareth stepped close, whispering, "I will not let him deceive you." Alaric's voice dropped, weary but firm. "If betrayal comes, I will face it myself." The prophecy's shadow grew heavier, as alliances began to fracture before the war had even begun. The night air thickened with dread as the castle gates shuddered under a dark pulse of energy. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, and the scent of sulfur carried on the wind. Alaric stood frozen, as a figure emerged from the gloom beyond the torches. It was Lord Vaynar, the fallen ruler, his eyes burning with a fire older than the kingdom. His voice echoed like steel dragged across stone. "You thought me lost to time, but I have returned." Alaric's breath caught, his blood chilled. Cedric whispered, "The ancient enemy, he lives." Gareth gripped his sword, his courage fierce despite his trembling hand. Vaynar lifted a hand, darkness swirling in his palm. "The age of riders is dead. The age of shadows begins tonight." The kingdom trembled with betrayal as whispers spread through the great hall. A trusted knight cast aside his cloak, revealing the insignia of Vaynar's followers. Alaric's voice cracked in disbelief. "You served beside us." The knight smirked coldly. "I serve only power." Cedric slammed his staff against the floor, fury in his gaze. "Your treachery damns us all." Gareth lunged forward, but Alaric held him back. His heart burned with rage, yet the deeper wound was betrayal's sting. Seraphine, hidden in the shadows, whispered urgently, "Not all friends are true. Trust must be earned." Alaric's spirit wavered, for the kingdom's unity was breaking apart from within. In the solitude of the chamber, Alaric pressed his palm against the glowing sigil once more. The stone flared with heat, and visions tore through his mind. Dragons soaring above burning skies, their riders locked in battles long past. His body convulsed as energy surged, veins glowing faint blue. Cedric steadied him, voice commanding yet fearful. "This is your gift, Alaric. It will not be denied." Alaric gasped, his voice trembling. "It will consume me." Gareth shouted, desperate. "You are stronger than the curse." The chamber shook, dust cascading from the ceiling. In that moment, Alaric realized his power was no longer hidden. His destiny was awakening, clawing free whether he welcomed it or not. The journey began at dawn, the air heavy with mist as the group rode toward the borderlands. Fields once fertile now lay scorched, the soil blackened by enemy fire. Gareth's voice trembled with anger. "They destroy everything in their path." Cedric's tone was grim. "This is only the beginning." Seraphine rode silently beside Alaric, her eyes haunted yet defiant. She whispered, "Every step you take binds us closer to war." Alaric's gaze lingered on the horizon where smoke spiraled into the sky. His heart ached at the destruction, yet deep within him, a flame stirred. For the first time, he did not turn from it. As they reached the cliffs overlooking the valley, a vast shadow crossed the land below. The guardian appeared, an immense ethereal beast with scales shimmering like starlight. Its voice rumbled through the air, not spoken but felt in their bones. "The path you walk is bound in blood and fire." Alaric stepped forward, awe tightening his chest. "Will you guide me?" The guardian's glowing eyes lingered, then turned skyward. "I warn, but I do not choose. The burden is yours." Cedric bowed deeply, whispering reverence. Seraphine's hand tightened on her cloak, fear and wonder battling within her. Gareth whispered, "By the gods." For the first time, they all understood the immensity of what was to come. The dawn broke with crimson light spilling across the high cliffs where Alaric stood, his dragon towering above him. The beast's golden eyes glowed as though weighing his soul. Cedric's voice carried with solemn weight. The bond must be forged through courage, not fear. Alaric's heart raced, his hands trembling as he stepped closer. The dragon released a low, thunderous growl, its hot breath washing over him. Gareth shouted, "Careful!" Yet Alaric did not falter. He reached forward, placing his hand on the scaled chest of the creature. The air crackled, flames bursting around them, but Alaric did not retreat. He whispered, "I am not your master, I am your ally." The dragon lowered its head, acknowledging the truth. The training began at twilight, the dragon's wings casting shadows across the rocky valley. Alaric climbed onto its back, his grip unsteady. Cedric barked, "Hold with your knees, not your fear." The dragon spread its wings, dust scattering like sparks as it leapt skyward. Alaric gasped, the world shrinking beneath him as wind tore at his armor. Gareth cheered from below, his fist raised. Seraphine's eyes shone with both awe and dread as she whispered, "He rides the storm." Alaric clenched his jaw, forcing himself to steady as the dragon soared through clouds. His fear transformed into exhilaration, a spark of destiny igniting at last. The valley echoed with chaos as arrows rained down from raiders hidden in the hills. Gareth dashed forward, shield raised, intercepting a volley meant for Alaric. "Stay back," he shouted, deflecting arrows that splintered against his shield. Alaric drew his blade, eyes blazing with fury. Cedric raised his staff, lightning bursting forth, scattering foes. Seraphine loosed a dagger with perfect precision, striking a raider from the shadows. Yet it was Gareth's unyielding stand that turned the tide. Alaric cried out, "You risk too much." Gareth grinned despite the blood on his arm. That's what companions are for. Their bond burned brighter amidst the chaos of battle. That night, The firelight flickered in the war camp as Lord Malric approached Alaric with a charming smile. "Your bravery inspires us all," he said smoothly. Alaric, weary yet hopeful, nodded. "We need unity if we are to survive." Malric's eyes gleamed with hidden ambition. "And with me at your side, we shall not fail." Cedric's gaze narrowed, suspicion etched deep. Gareth muttered under his breath, his words drip poison. Seraphine remained silent, her expression unreadable, though her hand lingered near her blade. Malric leaned closer to Alaric, lowering his voice. "Together, we could reshape this kingdom." The fire crackled ominously, masking the deceit in his tone. Before dawn, the kingdom's borderlands erupted in fire as Vaynar's armies stormed the villages. Flames consumed homes, smoke choking the sky. Alaric mounted his dragon, heart pounding with terror and resolve. Cedric called out, "The moment has come, defend the people." Gareth rode at his side, blade raised, shouting courage into the chaos. Seraphine loosed arrows from horseback, her face grim with determination. Malric, cloaked in feigned loyalty, rallied soldiers with a commanding voice, though his eyes sought only his own gain. The clash of steel and the roar of the dragon split the morning. Alaric cried by fire and blood, "I will not yield." His voice rose above the flames as the battle began. The battlefield smoldered in silence after the clash, but Cedric drew Alaric aside into the ruins of a chapel. His voice carried sorrow as he said, "There is truth I long concealed. The curse you bear was not born of chance." Alaric froze, his eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Cedric's shoulders sank under the weight of years. "Your bloodline bound the riders, and with it, the curse of the first betrayal. You were marked before your first breath." Alaric staggered back, heart pounding, rage boiling. "You knew, and you said nothing." Cedric closed his eyes, whispering, "To protect you. To protect us all." The revelation struck like steel, unraveling trust and hope in a single breath. Later that night, Alaric wandered to the edge of the camp, his heart torn by Cedric's revelation. Seraphine approached, her cloak brushing the wet grass. Her voice softened, "Your curse binds us both, though I have hidden mine." Alaric turned, disbelief burning. "You carry the same burden?" She lowered her gaze, eyes glistening. "My family betrayed the first riders. The stain of their sin bleeds into me." Silence stretched, broken only by the crackle of distant fire. Alaric's voice trembled. "Then we are chained together by blood and fate." Seraphine's lips curved into a bittersweet smile. "And yet, in you, I find freedom." Their forbidden bond deepened, fragile yet undeniable. The camp stirred with chaos as soldiers discovered Malric's secret messages hidden in his tent. Gareth burst into the command tent, breathless. "He betrayed us." Alaric stormed inside, his voice like thunder. "Malric." The noble stood calmly, his smirk sharp as steel. "I served myself as all men of vision must." Cedric raised his staff in fury, but Malric's laughter cut through the din. "Did you truly believe a cursed boy could save this kingdom?" Gareth lunged, but Alaric stopped him with a raised hand. His voice cracked with pain. "You were my ally." Malric sneered. "And now you're ruined." The taste of betrayal poisoned every heart in the camp. The revelation shattered Alaric's world. Alone beneath the blackened sky, he collapsed to his knees, clutching his sword. "All I touch turns to ash," he whispered. Cedric's voice echoed in memory, speaking of destiny. Seraphine's confession haunted him. Malric's betrayal carved wounds too deep to heal. Gareth approached, kneeling beside him. "You are not alone, Alaric. Your pain is ours as well." Alaric shook his head, tears cutting through the grime on his face. "I was cursed from the start." Gareth gripped his shoulder firmly. "Cursed or chosen, I will follow you." Alaric lifted his eyes to the storm above, knowing his path could no longer be denied. As dawn broke, the dragon roared from the cliffs, its scales blazing like molten fire. Alaric rose, his sorrow hardened into resolve. The beast lowered its head, flames curling from its nostrils. Alaric placed a hand on its snout, whispering, "Then let this curse be my strength." Cedric, Seraphine, and Gareth stood behind, their faces marked by exhaustion yet lit by determination. The air trembled as Alaric mounted the dragon, its wings unfurling to catch the rising sun. Vaynar's forces gathered on the horizon, banners black against the crimson sky. Alaric raised his sword, voice carrying across the valley. "For the kingdom, I will not break." The dragon's cry answered with fire. Night cloaked the battlefield as Alaric stood alone on the ridge, staring into the abyss within himself. The whispers of the curse pressed harder, voices of doubt gnawing at his spirit. He clutched his sword, gasping, "Will I become the darkness I fight?" Cedric appeared, his voice steady though sorrowful. "Fear is the shadow of power. Only you decide which path you walk." Alaric trembled, tears burning as he whispered, "I am terrified of myself." Cedric placed a hand on his shoulder, firm yet gentle. "Then you are ready." For those who fear themselves carry the wisdom to resist corruption. In that moment, Alaric faced not the enemy, but his own reflection in the storm of destiny. At dawn, Malric revealed his treachery in full. He strode into the war camp clad in blackened armor, no longer hiding allegiance. Soldiers gasped as he drew his blade, voice ringing with malice. "I serve only Lord Vaynar." Alaric's chest burned with fury. "You would betray all for power?" Malric smirked. "Power is the only truth." Gareth charged forward with reckless rage, but Malric's strike sent him sprawling. Cedric raised his staff, magic clashing with Malric's blade in sparks of fire and shadow. The camp erupted in chaos, soldiers dividing in fear and anger. Alaric felt betrayal pierce deeper than any wound, for a trusted ally had become their greatest foe. The clash grew brutal as Malric's betrayal spread panic. Gareth staggered back to his feet, blood streaking his arm. He shouted, "Alaric, go, I'll hold him." Alaric's eyes widened in horror. "No, you'll be killed." Gareth grinned through pain. "Better me than you." With reckless bravery he rushed Malric, shield raised high. Cedric shouted in despair, "Foolish boy!" Malric's blade struck, the clash resounding through the camp. Gareth staggered, crimson soaking his tunic, but he held his ground long enough for Alaric to rise onto his dragon. Gareth's final words were fierce. "Win this war, brother." Alaric's cry split the dawn, torn between grief and survival. From the skies, Alaric and his dragon faced Vaynar's vast army sprawling across the valley. Black banners whipped in the wind, thousands of armored soldiers marching with thunderous rhythm. Cedric's voice carried from below, calling spells to shield their lines. Seraphine rode at the flank, loosing arrow after arrow, her face lit with firelight. Alaric tightened his grip on the reins, heart torn by Gareth's sacrifice yet burning with vengeance. He raised his sword shouting, "For the kingdom!" The dragon's wings thundered, casting shadows across the battlefield. Fire erupted from its maw, engulfing enemy lines. The clash of steel and magic split the sky as war truly began. The kingdom burned as Vaynar himself strode into the chaos, towering in blackened armor with eyes like molten embers. His presence crushed hope, soldiers faltering at the sight. Alaric urged his dragon forward, but dread coiled within him. Cedric raised his staff high, lightning crashing into Vaynar, yet the Dark Lord deflected it with a swing of his blade. Seraphine cried out, rallying soldiers with fierce courage. Alaric's heart thundered, his voice breaking as he shouted, "This ends with me!" He dove with his dragon, fire trailing in their wake. The collision of destiny and darkness loomed, the climax of all battles yet to come. The battlefield fell silent as Vaynar advanced, his blade glowing like molten iron. Alaric guided his dragon downward, heart pounding. Soldiers scattered, knowing this duel would decide their fate. Vaynar's voice thundered, "You are but a child cursed by fate." Alaric dismounted, sword in hand, and replied with trembling conviction, "I carry not a curse but a kingdom's hope." Sparks flew as their blades clashed, steel ringing like thunder. Cedric's prayers echoed, Seraphine shouted his name, but Alaric heard only the roar of destiny. With every strike he felt the weight of Gareth's sacrifice, Cedric's wisdom, and Seraphine's bond pressing him forward. The kingdom's final stand had begun. The dragon soared above, unleashing torrents of fire against Vaynar's forces, but the Dark Lord's power shielded him. Vaynar lifted his hand, shadows coiling into spears that shot skyward. The dragon shrieked, banking hard to avoid the assault. Alaric charged, blades slashing sparks against Vaynar's armor. The Dark Ruler laughed, voice dripping venom. "You fight with borrowed strength, boy." Alaric spat back. "No, I fight with the strength of all who believe." Seraphine loosed arrows from horseback, her cries urging the soldiers onward. Cedric's staff lit the sky with lightning, battling the tide of shadow. The clash of fire and darkness painted the valley in chaos. Vaynar struck hard, sending Alaric crashing to the ground. Pain tore through him as he gasped, his sword sliding from reach. Vaynar loomed above, blade raised to finish him. Cedric cried out, unleashing a final surge of lightning that cracked against the Dark Lord's chest. The effort stole his strength, his body collapsing lifeless to the earth. Alaric's heart shattered, rage and grief igniting into flame. He roared, "You will not take more from me." Power surged from within, the curse transforming into raw force. His veins glowed blue, his eyes burning with dragon fire. The ground quaked as Alaric seized his sword once more, rising for the final strike. With a cry that shook the heavens, Alaric clashed blades with Vaynar in a storm of steel and fire. Sparks exploded as their swords met again and again, each strike echoing across the valley. The dragon roared above, flames raining down. Seraphine fought fiercely at the edge, her voice carrying hope to the soldiers. "Stand with him," Vaynar sneered, pressing Alaric back. "You cannot destroy me. I am eternal." Alaric roared in defiance, then let eternity end tonight. With one desperate surge, he drove his blade through Vaynar's chest, dragonfire erupting with the strike. The Dark Lord screamed as shadows unraveled into nothingness. Silence followed the death cry, the battlefield littered with smoke and ash. Alaric staggered, his body trembling from the power that coursed through him. The dragon lowered its head, bowing in reverence. Seraphine approached, her eyes glistening with tears. "You saved us, but at what cost?" Alaric looked to Cedric's lifeless form, his heart breaking. A kingdom won, a mentor lost. Soldiers knelt, honoring their savior. Yet Alaric's gaze turned skyward, his voice a whisper. "This is only the beginning." The dragon's wings spread wide as dawn light bathed the valley. The kingdom was saved, but destiny's shadow lingered, haunting the silence of victory.